In this video, I'll be covering a simple daily process that you can use to follow trends, take multiple trades per day, and create an income generating machine for yourself. Okay, this strategy has simple defined steps, a simple systematic approach, and are even alerted out algorithmically via our Discord. All right, so this system and resources that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is what I'm using to now be on a 19 trade win streak, averaging around $1,000 in profit per trade that I've been documenting for you guys on YouTube. It's also allowing members of our private team to do things like 25x their account and turn like $96 into $2,100 in about a week's time. So in order to show you this process, I'll first show you a breakdown of the strategy. Then I'll go over all the charting tools and resources that you'll need. Then I'll use these tools to show you how I set up these trades, as well as some live examples of me trading this in real time. Then I'll show you some cool optimizations to increase the win rate. Then at the end, I'll show you a way you can test the strategy for yourself to get the proof of concept and be able to test your own results. So if that sounds good, make sure you hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing. Check us out on Instagram and Discord. We have an amazing trading community. Also, let me know in the comments if you like this view or the other view better. All right, so let's first dive into exactly how this system works. Okay, I'm going to break it down piece by piece. And then, like I said, I'm going to put it all together so you'll be able to get a holistic view, but I want to break down each step because having the foundation and understanding how it works is super important. So the very general premise of the system is to allow us to be able to trade in the direction of a current trend and use different market indicators and approaches to be able to ensure that we can get into dip buy levels in this current trend and then have the price continue in our direction and be able to have an extremely high win rate. So like I said, we can profit off of following trends. There's a few steps we need to follow with this system, and this is going to be part of the daily checklist process. So first part of this system is to wait for the volatility to die down in the New York session. So you'll see later on our charts, we're going to have a gray box. In this example, it's green, basically showing us when the New York Stock Exchange opens. Now, US Stock Exchange can lead to a lot of volatility in the market. And for this system, we kind of want to avoid big moves up or down in the market that are driven by fundamentals. We're looking to just get in, get out, and sort of make money off of the small fluctuations in the market. So the goal is to completely avoid from 9 a.m. to about 11:30 so that we can see the direction that the market's moving and avoid some of that crazy fundamental volatility from the New York Stock Open. For step 2 of the system, we're going to be finding the high and lows that happened on our chart during this New York session. So for example, here, if we have this high and this low, we'll see if the price is first able to break out of this high or if it's going to break down that low, which is going to help us determine the general direction that the market could potentially continue to move throughout the rest of the trading session. So once we have the thesis for our trend direction for that day, we're going to be waiting for our 20, 50, and 200 day exponential moving average to all show up as green to give us further confirmation that we're actually in a trending state in the market. Okay, and this is going to be part of an indicator that I'm going to show you how to add to your charts for completely free. All right, so once we have our moving averages and our trend direction, we're then going to be finding our trading range, which is going to be after these moving averages all change to one color, finding the lowest point to the highest point, which is going to give us our trading range for this system. Okay, once we have our trading range, this is where our custom indicators are really going to shine. Okay, so we have our trend direction, we have our EMAs lined up, we have our high and lows. We're going to use this custom fib setting, which I'm going to go into much more detail here, but you can see the settings right here if you already have fibs on your trading view. It's going to look something like this, and we're going to start our Fibonacci at this high for a long, end our Fibonacci here, right? And with all of these settings, we're going to have our entry level, our first dip buy level, our second dip buy level, and our stop loss by Fibonacci indicator values that we can set as a preset and then use in conjunction with some of the tools that I'm going to show you. For now, all you really need to know is that we're going to be dragging a fib across our trading range and then setting values for entries, dip buy levels, stop loss, and take profits. So really what we're doing is setting up a fib, even if this does chop around and hit our entry and go to full profit, or this wants to dip down further and then have a small correction. The goal is to be able to get out for full profit. We actually built a custom calculator once we actually back tested and found crazy results on this process. Yeah, the cool thing about this system is this isn't really intuitive, but once we started testing things with numbers and algorithms, we actually found this pocket in the market. Of course, we go into way more depth on the private side of our team, but I can still share this strategy that we know works based on our deep back testing. I can pop some of the results up on the screen here, at least enough with you guys to be able to get started and start using this on your own with the free resources that we have. So to quickly recap before we move on, we're waiting for the New York session to end. Then we're marking the high and low that was made during this New York open session and waiting for one of those to break. Once we have that directional bias for the day, we're waiting for our moving averages to turn all one color. Then we're setting our trading range from the most recent low before the moving average cross and the high. And then we're going to be using our custom fib settings in calculators to be able to start at the beginning of the trend, click down to here, have all of our automatic orders and input them with the calculator, and then let the trade play out. All right, so let's shift gears here and talk about all of the tools that we're going to need to be able to complete this process. So first thing is going to be TradingView. If you don't already have TradingView, this is how we're doing all of our charting with whatever we're trading. If you need an intro to basic charting, I have a TradingView tutorial setup video, as well as some basic trading education that you can watch if you ever get lost at any point in this video. But TradingView is going to be where we're going to be doing our charting. Then the next thing is going to be our position size calculator. Okay, so this is in the resources of the description. Okay, it should be called Trading Tools. You can go in there, download that, and in that is going to give you access to the indicator, this calculator, and all of the tools that I'm referring to in this video. Make sure when you open this link, you can just create a copy, and that's going to give us our calculator. Okay, the third thing that you're going to need is some sort of exchange to trade the markets. Depending on the market, it's going to determine which exchange you're using. Okay, for cryptocurrency, I've found that Bybit and Femex works with these order types and also has enough leverage for you to be able to take these positions. Okay, the third thing is going to be our Discord server. Once you join into our Discord community, you'll see a channel here called Smart Alerts, and the system I'm going to be sharing with you is going to appear something like this. And you can use this process to find these opportunities, look at the time, and then look to set up these trades and see if it follows your rules. And then the fourth thing is going to be your trade tracker. So regardless of the trade tracker that you're using, you need to be paying attention to the profit that you make each trade, your winning percentage, your average risk reward, and all of this data that I'm going to show you how to fill out in a second, and I'm going to show you examples of as well. Okay, like I said, everything is going to be shared with you in the description, so you can either add all this as you go or watch this one time to learn it and then watch it again while you have all your tools set up to implement it. All right, also if you find this dope, make sure you hit the like button on the video. It helps to show me that you appreciate me making this video. But in order for you to actually like it, I have to show you that it works. So let's get into the first step of setting up our TradingView chart. So when you hop into TradingView and you get the tools in the description, you're going to add something called the IT Foundation indicator. And what this is going to show us is a few things. First thing it's going to show us, once again, is that New York session open time. Okay, if you don't want to add these indicators, you can totally do this on yourself too. So Lux Algo actually has a really good session indicator. We have the total New York session as well as the total London session here. And then you can just use simple moving averages and change them in the settings value here to be exponential, and then change the length to whatever, 20, 50, whatever you want. For sake of simplicity, I like having it all in one indicator. Okay, so this is showing us our no trade zone, and then this moving average is showing us our trend direction. So notice how when the 20s over the 50 over the 200, all of these are green. And then when we get a momentum shift in the trend, the 20 goes under the 50, under the 200, and now we have a general trend direction. All right, so let's talk about fib settings. The way you can set this up is by clicking over into this menu and going into fib retracement, and then just click from this part in the chart, go down a little bit and click again, and then just hit the settings wheel and apply all of these settings. All right, so this is our stop loss level. This is our first dip buy level. This is our entry level right here, our take profit in green, and then 0.17 is our second dip buy level. Then you can just hit this wheel, save this as a template, and you'll be good to go moving forward with your trading. So now I'm going to set one of these trades up, and then I'm going to show you how to use the tools and resources on this first example. Then we're going to look at a few more examples and exactly how I traded them in real time, so you can get a grasp on sort of the whole process. All right, so let's also refer to our system over here and show how it actually applies to a chart in real time. So I have Solana right here on a 3-minute time frame, meaning that each of these candles is showing me 3 minutes worth of movement. We have our New York session box here. So now we need to wait for the price to leave this window. Okay, so now we are officially outside of our New York zone. So we've waited for our trade. Okay, second thing that we're going to do is mark these highs and lows. So I like to use these horizontal lines here. So you'll notice inside this session window, this is our low point and this is our high point right here. So as this moves forward, this is going to help determine which direction the market could potentially trend for the next few hours, which is what we're going to try to trade. Okay, there's a lot more that goes into this, including daily bias and other technical analysis. I'm not really going to dive into that today, but these are some of the things that we do focus more on the private side of our trading team. Okay, a lot of people don't know, but you can make money as the markets move down too. This isn't only trading things when they go up. The thing that I love about trading is regardless of the directions of the market, I know I'm going to have a job because I know how to trade the markets in both directions. So this is actually an example of me trading the market to the downside, doing something called shorting. So this is super cool, and it works basically exactly the same, just in a different direction. So I really want to see a good confirmation and close below that. So you can see we had this candle close and this candle close underneath this line. So we're in good shape for a confirmation in this direction. Okay, so now we've checked off this process. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is wait for our moving averages to all be lined up the same color. So as soon as we have this small point under here showing us the 20s under the 50 under the 200, we have the green light confirmation from our trends, also from this closing below the session low, for us to start looking into trading this trend. Okay, so now step 4 is going to be finding our trading range. So just like we found the high and low right here, so that means that we're going to be choosing this high point right here and this lowest point before we have a turnaround in the market. And this time, considering the market's moving down, I'm actually going to click from this first low point right here and drag all the way up to this highest point right here. All right, you'll see this is going to give me all of my levels: entry, dip by 1, dip by 2, and our stop loss value. All right, so let's move on to step 4, which is actually adding and inputting our values. Okay, so you can see we have our trend direction, we have all of our levels. Now we need to use our calculator to be able to know our expected profitability as well as the quantities to be adding at each level. All right, so now we're going to go over to our calculator. On my Fibonacci, if I go into this section here and I check this box, which is going to show me prices, that will put into parentheses the exact value at each point in our fib. Okay, so when I go over to my calculator, all I need to do is put in my calc total. Say I'm trading with $20,000. Okay, you can trade this with as little or as much money as you want. Okay, considering this is a short position, we're going to click on short. We're going to put in our ticker. Our first limit is going to be this entry value, which in this case is 127.10. Take profit is 124.26. Stop loss value you can see is 129.99. Standardly, we like to keep the leverage at about 25x, but you can sort of modify this to make sure that the margin is going to have this yes box to make sure that you're not going to get liquidated on the trade. All right, this limit one is going to be our dip by one value, 128.12, and we got 129.04 on our second dip by level. So that's going to show you your expected take profits depending on which limits are hit. And you'll notice if we get in on our original entry, for this trade example, and on the public side, I want to keep the risk small. So this calculator is accounting for using 10% risk, which you can do the math. If you're making between 2 to 2.5% on each trade, and you can go on a 20, 30 trade win streak, you can really compound your account extremely quickly. Okay, obviously on the private side of the team, we lock in and we're studying this data and we teach traders how to be extremely advanced so that they can use more of their account. But for you guys on the public side, I want you to have proof of concept and use a little bit smaller of some size to be able to get the process started so that you can test it out, know it works for you. And if you want to take it more seriously, we have the resources and team value there for you to be able to do that. Okay, but in order to make this a little bit more safe and digestible, we started off with a little bit lower risk for you guys on the public. The expected profit on our first order would be 428, limit 1 431, and limit 2 is actually going to be 527. So the deeper this retraces into our limits, the more money we're actually going to make if this turns around by a small amount. Now, the cool thing about this system, off of our first entry, which would be right here, if the price comes up and turns around, gets us out for full profit, that's great. That's allowing us to follow this trend. That's essentially what the goal of this system is. Now, say for example, this comes up and touches our first dip by level. You'll notice off of this limit order, we actually have a new take profit that when you set these up into the exchange, now our take profit level went from this value to 127.15, which would be right here. So now all the price has to do is go down to this level a little bit, even if it starts trading counter trend to where we're going, and we're going to make the same amount, if not more profit than our original take profit. Same is true with our secondary dip by level. If this happens, all we need is a little bit of a flip and then we'll be able to get out for full profit. I'm not going to go over this in this video, but what I've been doing actually based on my own data is realizing that I do have a lot of trades that will hit this secondary dip by level and then turn all the way back around and go to my full profit zone. And considering even if this move happens, I can get my full profit amount. If I hold this, go all the way down to take profit, I can make crazy large gains. All right, and then if it continues to move up against me, I'll play this second dip by level and just get out at my normal rate. So I have some hedge protection against it moving in the opposite direction. If we do catch a move up to this dip by level and it turns all the way around, okay, I can make a crazy amount of risk factors and put myself ahead. I don't recommend doing this until you have all of your data tested to see if it would be profitable. But with what I'm going to show you, you can start doing these things. If you collect the data, you can start manipulating it and changing it and coming up with some good ideas. So just want to say that before we move forward. Okay, so now we have all of our inputs. So you'll see we have our quantities to input. We have our leverage amount, our expected take profits based on our account size. Okay, so the next thing that you do is pick whatever exchange you're going to be using in whatever market that you're using. All right, you have your order price, you have your quantity, and then you can set up the stop loss and take profit that's going to be shown in these boxes right here. Once again, if you want more examples of this and me putting the orders in real time, I document a lot of the trading sessions that I do and put them on YouTube for you guys. So some of these videos right here, I'm going to link at the end of this video so you can sort of lock in and watch some examples of me setting this up with the exchanges active so you can get a little bit better of a grasp of it happening in real time. All right, so now that we have our trade set up, let's see how we actually watch this unfold in real time. So right here, the trade, I located a local low, and now we've come up through our level, which is going to put our entry price here, take profit down here, stop loss way up here. So now if we play the trade forward, looks like it's rounding the corner and sort of moving in this direction. Okay, now the trade comes up right here. So you'll see in this instance, we now have our second dip buy level hit. So now our new average price is going to move somewhere up here, and our new take profit now is actually going to move right to this level here. And you'll see in this example, the next candle had a massive move down and would have gotten us out here for full profit. Okay, the way I was trading this, like I said earlier, I actually held off on taking profit on this move because I was hoping we get a big tank in this general direction. And this probably would have put me up around $6,000 to $7,000 in one trade. Okay, but that price actually didn't end up moving forward. So then you'll see price moves back up, hits our second dip buy level, which is going to move our average cost somewhere up here, putting our take profit at this zone at 128.12. And then price moves right back down to this zone, which got me out for about $1,170 in full profit. All right, so now let's take a look at me actually trading this in real time so you can see the way it's supposed to look. Okay, so you can see I'm already in this position here, up about $200. So right here, you'll see I did some other technical analysis that I'm going to show you a little bit later in this video, but you'll see I marked off the high and lows of my trend. I had my entry zone right into these moving averages right at my proper fib level. Okay, so you'll notice now I have a short position open. Price is starting to move in my direction. All right, and here's where we get our move up to our second limit orders. So now you'll see that I got my second limit orders filled as the price continues to move in the direction. Then you'll see right here, as we got that big candle dump off, I started to go up $2,000, hoping that this would just absolutely tank. Once again, giving me that sort of really big trade that I was hoping for. So I even went up about $2,500, $2,600 at this point. All right, then the price starts to reverse back up, continues to whiplash in the other direction, pokes up through that secondary limit order, and then you'll see now based off of that volatility, it's trading back into our range, continues to push down. We're up about $700, $800, and then you can see we get our big push down for the $1,100 fill as we go out for full profit. And you'll see for this trade example, this is actually alerted out short on the smart alerts that are automatically sent out to you guys via Discord. So once the trades fully come to fruition, the next thing that I'm doing is taking a screenshot of the current setup. Okay, then I'm pulling up my trade organizer. So you can see right here, this is the exact trade that I just showed you. So I can actually open up a new cell here, add the day that I took it, the coin that I traded, the system type that I chose. So you can actually trade whatever trading system that you want, use this sheet, and then you can actually set up filters to actually be able to filter based on the system type. Okay, I put the time frame that I traded the trade on, whether it was a short or long position, as well as the risk percentage on the trade, the status of the outcome, considering this was a win, which limit order I got filled on, which once again, remember I told you how I was playing that secondary fill. Okay, that's from studying this data over here and the ultimate P&L I had on the trade. Okay, so if we go ahead and open up this card, you'll see that I have the screenshot as well of the trade, so I can always refer back to it, look at the setups, then study my own results to improve moving forward. And the cool part about this system is as you get into the ebb and flow of the market, you can just continue to take trades off of this. All right, so once we sort of got confirmation on this trade that the price was going to continue moving up for the session, I wanted to make sure that I was following the direction of the market. So just like how we did when we marked off the low and high of the New York session, I'm also doing that just in general, making sure that when I am taking any sort of long position, I'm longing into a positive strength. So you'll see I mark off this exact high point and this exact high point. Once we have a break past that, now I can start looking at potentially buying into this dip, considering that we are breaking over this daily high and continuing to move in our direction. All right, so I got my first push, a candle close above these highs, which now looks like a confirmed uptrend for the day. Okay, so we have our moving averages crossing here. So now I'm setting up my Fibonacci for this trade. All right, so now I got my first dip buy order in, second dip buy order filled. And then you'll notice this candle actually wicked up through and took us out for full profit right here. Okay, so once again, full profit trade. All right, so now let's watch me trading this in real time. So once again, I have my fib settings here. We got our first order filled right in this zone. Okay, so you'll notice as the price comes down, fills our next order, starts to reverse into our direction. We're up 250, 400, 500, 800. And then it blows up through our take profit and gets us out of our entire position. All right, so once again, then I went through, I added this trade here. I put the status of the win, ended up making $887 on this trade, which is a little bit light, but sometimes you're going to lose some money due to slippage in actual order executions. Let's take a look at one more long trade. Okay, so this was well into New York session. You'll see we have a local high broken here with our low and our high, all of our moving averages confirmed. So I got my first dip buy on this wick. Now price basically trades sideways a little bit later into the session, comes down, gets me filled off of this second dip buy level. All right, and then starts making its way up, puts me up about $700, sort of sitting around full profit. and then takes up one more push and gets us out for full profit here. And that puts us up near another $1,000 on that trade. Okay, this is a different trade that I took on APT, but you can see even in one session here, I was potentially even going to be up about $10,000 with that limit one that I was hoping to get. Once you learn processes like this and you can scale it up, this is really how people are taking it to that next level and finding that consistency. But here's the thing. Okay, there are certain things that you can do technical analysis wise to improve your win rate. And I'm going to share with you now some of the quick tips and things that I've learned just from my 7 years of trading that can improve the win rate of this strategy. Okay, I'm not going to get into everything to be fair to the private team. Okay, but I'm going to show you some of the tips that I've learned along the way. I'm going to show you how you can practice this on your own and just a quick way to make sure that you're profitable and you have proof of concept before you start actually implementing it. All right, so there's two major things that I use when I'm doing my technical analysis to help me avoid taking trades that I shouldn't and make sure that I'm setting myself up for high probability wins. The first thing is going to be implementing something called an overside or underside retest. All right, and this idea is based off of the fact that oftentimes when you have areas that are broken out that used to be previous support zones, support meaning the price is above it and can't break below it, or it's below it and can't break above it, called resistance, right? So if we have a bounce price here, bounce point here, finally breaks through. Anytime the price is going to come back up on the opposite side after breaking through that strong wall and retesting it is almost always a heavy area of resistance or support depending on the direction of the trade. Okay, you can see another example of it here. If I use these levels as my low, notice how we have a bounce, bounce, break, resistance on this, once again tests it before falling completely off. So there's a way we can use this type of analysis to make sure that our stop loss on these systems are at least below a potential bounce point. That way, if the price does bounce off of this trend, move down a little bit, and even say it continues moving in the opposite direction, that quick little reaction should be enough to be able to get us out on a limit 2 win so that we can continue moving on with our trading system, even if we were completely wrong about the direction of the trend. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of me doing this. So if we're considering that phenomenon, say for example, we have price trending something like this. All right, so now we'll be able to draw a trend line along these highs. So at any point, once this trend breaks up through those lows, okay, as long as our moving averages are moving in the right direction, if we were to say to place a Fibonacci, something like from this low to that low, even if this price ends up moving down and hitting our secondary limit, now that this is broken out of previous resistance, there's a high chance that even for a small blip of time, this top part of this trend will become support enough to get us out of this trade. All right, and if we just look at a realistic amount of time for our trades to unfold, I would say something like this would give us a large enough window for us to get into a secondary limit fill. And you'll notice, even if this does take its time and move something like this before getting us into our second limit, this is still going to make contact with the overside of this trend before hitting our stop loss, which is going to still give us a pretty decent window of time to sort of bank on the fact that this support will be able to get us out of the trade and sort of protect us from hitting stop loss. Okay, an example of this not working would be if we had a much steeper trend along here where we're dragging our trend line along these highs, because you'll notice if we are aiming to play this trend break, even if this comes back up, if this were to retest our trend, okay, you'll notice this is going to hit the stop loss value before even reattempting the overside of this trend. And what this is going to do is allow you to not play into trends where you're really trying to catch the falling knife. What we want to do is follow the general movement of the market. All right, and this is a way that I like to set up my trades to make sure that I'm trading pretty neutral markets in the right directional bias. And the second strategy that I use to increase the probability of me taking wins on these trades is using something called Elliott wave analysis. Now, okay, I have more on this concept in several other videos, but basically this is an approach that I use to almost all my trading to be able to look at where we are in a current trend. So based on a psychological phenomenon, trends typically move in a 5-wave pattern, looking something like this, where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once we have that 5-wave established, it's usually followed by an A, B, C move before either making a continuation higher or changing trend direction altogether. Okay, so if we're looking at our current trade trend, what I want to make sure that I'm doing is avoid getting out at the top of a 5-wave structure. And this is why I also like to see fresh trend breaks, because what this is going to signify is that this is potentially the first push up. And if we're looking at a retest on this current trend, that could be the low of 2. And once we get a secondary push here, okay, we should get some sort of response here on 4 before having 5. Now, if we're longing into the high of a 5-wave, where say this trend already made its full structure, and now we're replaying this entire trend, there's a high chance, based on my back testing, a lot of the trades that I have lost have been when I'm longing into the 5-wave, because I'm trying to long into a trend that's too well established already, and I'm buying into the trend too high up. So doing these two things, in addition to a ton of other stuff that we talk about on the private side of our team, is how I can increase the probability of me winning these trades. All right, so now let's move into into how you can actually start testing this on your own and getting the proof of concept that you need. So this is a process that I do called back testing. And essentially what we can use is this feature here that you've probably seen me using already on TradingView, which is called bar replay. Okay, what this is going to allow us to do is click on this menu down below here and either choose a random bar, which is going to put us in a random place in time so we don't remember at all where we are in the market. Then we can start looking to see where in the market we're going to take our trades, play it out in real time as if we would have taken it, and then we can see if we're going to be profitable and successful in real time. Okay, so what I like to do is click on this selected bar right here, and then I'll just go back to a certain point where I don't remember what happened in the market, and then I'll just click and start trading from there. And you can input your results into your trade log as you go and just title it something called back testing, and that'll be perfect for you just to keep track of which one you're actually doing. Or you can simply just put it on your screen and keep track of your risk factors to get the repetitions in, and then you can just do math at the end. So I'm going to show you exactly how I like to do this. Okay, so also using this menu, this is going to show us how fast the bars are going to replay. So 3 is going to show us 3 candles every 1 second. So as I play this forward, this is going to put 3 candles moving in the same direction. So you'll see now I'm on a 3-minute time frame. Now I can start looking for setup. Okay, so the first thing that I'm noticing here is the fact that we're after our New York session. This is sort of trading in a downward direction. Okay, what I do see is that we have a freshly broken trend along this low where you can see now we're starting to break along those lows after getting rejected off this bottom. I'm just going to talk you through exactly what I'm thinking, and then we'll just start bar replaying these. Okay, so I'm already looking at this as a potential long depending on how this holds and follows through. Okay, let's see if we can get a higher push up. Okay, so now we have all of our moving averages agreeing with one another. So now if this does take another move down, I'm confident in taking this as a long. Okay, so now what I would do, take my Fibonacci along this level to this low. You'll see my overside retest is going to give me support into all my dip buy levels. Okay, so now we've made technically a new high here. Okay, another high made. Okay, so this is a perfect example now of me showing now I don't really have this layer of security. So if this support level breaks and this decides to move all the way down, this can hit my stop loss for this fresh trend break. So now this trend is a little exhausted for me. I'm not really interested in taking this setup. A little too top heavy as well as not really choppy enough. Okay, this looks like a really weird, non-good price action move. So I'm going to try to avoid that. Okay, so now you'll see we have a new New York session. Okay, we get a big move up into the New York session. I already don't like this price action because it's not natural, right? So I really want to see this start to move pretty naturally and give us a daily bias. Okay, so now we have our moving averages moving in this direction. We had a big move up in this sort of reset. So now we're in the middle of a comfortable trading zone where it was before. So I'm actually okay with potentially looking into taking this as a short position to play to this downside momentum. Okay, so we have our moving averages right here. Here's my high of day. This is really where the trend started to begin. So I'd be comfortable taking any sort of dip off of this current move at this point. Okay, so let's see now off of this low up to our high point here. This would have got us in short. Okay, so this is going to be our first short order. And after taking way too long on this trade, we finally get out for full profit here. Okay, this trade took a little bit longer than we probably would have expected, but this is our first profit. Now, all I have to do here is do 1, limit 1, win. So now I can just keep this here, and that's going to show me that I had a win over this period. And I can just continue to trade this forward and take more trades. Okay, so now we can go down onto a smaller time frame. We do have a really established downtrend here on Sol. So I'm actually going to try to avoid taking short positions on this downtrend just because this could easily correct back up the same way it sort of sold off. Okay, so now I'm going to play this forward to see if we have a continuation on our trend. All right, so now you'll notice we have a break of this overall downtrend. And if I want my trades to take a little bit less time, I can go a little bit tighter in on the frequencies. So I can play a new long move on a move potentially like this. So that would be my position. Play this forward. We'd get long in this limit, long on that limit, and then we would have gone full profit off of here. Okay, so now we can continue playing our bars forward. Okay, so now we have our next New York session. We get a big move down on the New York session. All right, so now we have a fresh low broken below our low during New York. So off of this current move here, this is a pretty big move. I'm going to play into the momentum here on this. So we'll see if we can get filled. Okay, and you'll see we got filled off of this perfectly on that limit and then came down and blew through our full take profit level. Okay, so that's another full profit trade in a row. And I'm just going to make this an entry win and then continue. All right, so after a move, something like this, I'm going to actually wait for this to start trickling and moving in this direction before I even start taking another trade, just because we've had so much downwards price. I'm not going to continue shorting into a move like this. Okay, so you'll notice we're starting to move a little bit in the positive direction here. Okay, so now we start to get some momentum to the upside. Okay, so this is a push that I like to see. Now we actually have a change, so I would actually be comfortable longing into this as well. So take from this low to that high, so we would have been in long right here. Looks like we could get momentum to full profit. All right, at this point, I would close my trade out. This has been like 2 sessions. It shouldn't be taking that long, but I'm going to let it play out just for the sake of the back testing. Let's get some momentum into New York and let's get out of this trade. Okay, here we go. So we're out of this trade for a full profit. It took almost 2 trading sessions. So we'll move past that. It can be frustrating sometimes, but another win, EU win, beautiful. So what I like to see is momentum into this New York session now. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. If we can get a pullback off of this level, I'm going to really like this as a long trade. Okay, so getting to be a little bit tall of a trend, a little too steep now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to trade this. I might trade it to the downside if we get a little bit more movement down there. Okay, continues making its run. Okay, so now we first got a really nice push down. Problem is we really want choppy price action, right? We really want that sideways chop. This is really directionally driven, so probably not going to be the best setup here. All right, so if we take our low point off of here up to our highest point right there, we're short into the market. Price comes down, takes us out for another full profit trade. So I'm not going to keep bar replaying this. I've done this for a long time. Okay, but I wanted to show you guys here pretty simply taking some pretty big ranges. Now on the private side of our team, we're taking much smaller ranges, doing scalping. So we can sometimes take like 5 or 10 trades a day even sometimes, right? But just to show you an example of how this works, just from what I did in real time in front of you, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winners over the course of a couple days. So even though the risk profile on this trade is higher than usual, this strategy is going to allow you to take a lot of trades, and as long as you're following the general direction of the market, you can know based off of your system requirements how many wins you should be able to get. But from what I'm showing you, it's quite possible to be able to get this high of a win rate, which can allow you to significantly compound your gains, which is exactly what a lot of our members are doing. Once again, I always love shouting out PJ Pan. He's won with 33 wins in 1 loss. One of our other private team members, 3L, 7 wins in a row right before he started his weekend, which is always good, and just a ton of other members cleaning up. You can see this was what I was referring to in the beginning of the video, $96 to $2,100 after 7 days of trading. He gave a big shout out to our trading team, which is one of the most fulfilling parts of doing this entire thing. But anyways, I just wanted to break down a simple way you can get started trading this process. We've done a lot of developing and a lot of testing, so I want to make sure that we're sharing it with the world and that I'm showing what I've been using over the past month to absolutely clean up, and a little bit more about what we do here at Trade. Okay, if you're still here and you like the video, make sure you hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing and you think that my videos are interesting. Okay, that's going to help you know when I drop videos to be able to watch those. Okay, we have a great community in our Discord. Make sure you take advantage of all the free resources, the community, everything. Let me know in the comments how you like this video. But until next time, I will see you all in the next video.